What's up, players? This is Holla Hall of Famer Teddy Long, and right now we're getting ready to have a six-pack challenge match with Potsy and Tino on the big podcast show. Holla at a player.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Pots and Pans Network brings to you its Tag Team Champions of the World. The Road Dogg, Tino Gray, the badass Rob Potsy Potchak. I got a story about that. The Potsy and Tino Show. Our theme song, as always, brought to you by Adam's House Cats, called The Wrestling Song. It's available on iTunes for 99 cents until this motherfucker right here, for his 50th birthday, finally puts together a brand new theme song for the show. We have someone in tow getting ready to join the show. He was with us during our
he paid for it. He gifted us.
He gifted us tickets to NXT Vengeance Day. Our buddy Jason. His favorite wrestler is
Oscar's grandma with the orthopedic sketchers. You heard us talk about him.
Yes. You've heard us talk to Jason. He's been on the show before. We will get to him. I can see him just sitting there going, I can't believe those guys are saying what they're, but we'll get to him. Before we do, and before we even get to the normal, what's up with you? We want to go ahead and wish the very best in terms of recovery to one Jerry the King Lawler.
Yes.
Who earlier this week, it was reported, had a massive stroke. Apparently was found in his driveway, unable to communicate to people what was going on. However, based on how quickly they were able to get him picked up by to the hospital, he was already responsive, already showing good signs and everything else. And they do think that with the proper amount of physical therapy, will be able to make a 100% recovery.
That's cool.
Now, Tino, I do have to say that as someone who has had their father have a massive stroke.
That's what took my granddad out.
If the person does not respond and does not want to do the physical therapy, there are oftentimes lasting results. So we have the biggest wishes in our hearts for the King. If you want to say thoughts and prayers, that's up to you.
Oh yeah, definitely thoughts and prayers going out to the King.
You know, I'm not a prayer guy.
So yeah, thoughts and prayers going out to the King. It's just, I think already he's 73.
73.
So man, he's been a lot. It wasn't 2012. He had a heart attack on TV.
So he died on TV. He was pronounced.
I don't think he died on TV. I think they got him backstage.
He was pronounced. Like they said, he is non-responsive. Owen Hart did not die on TV. They took him off TV immediately. But we don't need to argue that. King went backstage. 12 minutes later, they were able to revive him. Normally, people 4 minutes in, they stop attempting.
Because once the oxygen reaches the brain, there's no use.
The only joke that can be made here, I guess, is that
it's bulletproof.
Is that when people sat there and said it might not be a stroke, we don't know what it is. The ultimate thing here is that it wasn't until it was pronounced that Jerry the King Lawler was having serious health problems that suddenly the dude started making a recovery. Because that's what Jerry the King Lawler, like, he has his babyface comeback, right? And let's be real, we hope, and like you said, you pray that the King is going to make a full recovery, and it's very possible he will. Just 2 weeks ago, he was on the Royal Rumble broadcast.
Yeah, I just saw him.
And he seemed super healthy, super everything else. But, I mean, he's 73. You know,
He's super healthy. It's just a brain clot. I mean, or not a brain clot, but a clot that breaks loose here, what causes a stroke.
I mean, there's lots of things that could. It's literally just a closing off of something that causes something not to work, right? But we're hoping that the King makes a full recovery. We expect him to, based on what everybody said, and based on seeing the pictures and the Dutch Mantel recent statement about where he is. I mean, Jimmy Hart was sitting there right with him, you know, talking about things, showing him pictures, trying to make sure that Jerry knew what was going on. So all the love and everything else to Jerry the King Lawler, friend of the show. He actually has said something nice about the show in the past.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right.
With that said, Tino, we always ask what's up with you.
I had what did I do this weekend?
You had a show
Friday.
You had a show
Friday in Clayton, which was awesome. We had a couple ladies come out, and they were digging what we were doing, and so we're like, yeah, we do.
Were they gold diggers? Were they digging for gold?
No, they came out and they had they go to the Atlanta Beach every summer. They got like a beach house there, and I guess in
Terramana, man.
Yeah, the beach house they look like it's community living. There's a bunch of like a ritzy park, and they're like, yeah, we do this thing before. Well, you guys are great. We want you to come out and play. Blah 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 blah. I gave them my card. I'm like, yeah.
You told me this story
the
way down to Charlotte, but everyone needs to hear it.
So I thought, yeah, there's blowing smoke. We're just waiting. Chick called me yesterday. Left me a voicemail. I was in meetings. Said yes. She says we're just waiting on permits from the city, from Atlantic City, to get it going. I'm like, oh, this heifer was serious.
You getting your hotel comped?
No, yeah. Well, we haven't figured it out yet.
No. This so, as someone who, you know,
this is my first rodeo, right?
I know.
Okay.
I know. But this is one of those things where the negotiation needs to start high. The value that you know you're worth, how long you're going to be gone, is your wife invited?
I think she'll probably be in New York.
But you know what I mean. Like, how much can you get out of the situation? And then...
Well, there's two of us, so we got to figure it out. So
yeah, because you and...
Yeah. So we'll figure all that out. Yeah, and of course they'll come to the hotel, but I'm trying to figure in what they want.
Yeah,
how long they want.
But you know, when we were in Charlotte this weekend, you were like, "Oh, we could stay at a sleep in." You ain't staying at a sleep in when they're getting you to come down to do the show.
No, I said we could have stayed at the sleep in when we
right, because we were like, okay, let's $38 a night. Let's figure out how to.
I'm not saying it's a night at the beach. No, I'm getting somewhere beachfront. And I'm probably gonna have green M&Ms in the hotel room. Am
I gonna be one of the roadies that weekend?
You have to get your own room.
Seriously? I'll stay on the couch, motherfucker.
I don't think they're paying that much.
I'll stay on the couch.
Let's stay on the couch.
Like you guys can have the two beds. I'll like just make sure it's a suite that has a couch bed.
We'll see. Well, Nicole goes, yeah.
But you just said she's probably in New York.
I have to wait and see. Yeah.
You see this guy? He doesn't want me coming to the beach to be part of this show.
That's the problem. You can try to take over the now.
No.
Oh, yeah, they want to sing. You know they love when I sing. No, they don't.
No. These people don't know me.
I know. I'm getting paid well. I want to.
Yeah. I would literally go, okay, where do you want this? And that's what I would say. And then I'd be like, do I at least get free liquor?
I'm waiting to see.
But you know, like.
Yes, I'm waiting to see what that callback's going to be like. So I have to let you know how that's going to be. It's going to be fucking awesome. And then I had to dish out money and get a new PlayStation that Sunday. I think Sunday I went and got it. So here's the situation on the PlayStation. I had a PS4, and probably about last month I was telling Rob, I'm like, it's not loading. It's not loading my like Netflix and Hulu, and it's loading slow. I'm playing games and it's glitching. But I'm like, I know not to tell my wife because the first thing she's going to say is, "You're just trying to get a new PlayStation." I'm like, "That's not what." Well, yeah, but that's not what it was. So I outsmarted her. I waited.
So
I waited.
So we're driving down to Charlotte, folks. I gotta give the other perspective to this.
I got it. No, I got it next second.
You got it. You got it the day after we came back. We're driving down to Charlotte from Durham, so it's 2 hour, 15-minute drive. You know, not too crazy. Jason, our friend who we're going to invite onto the show. Yeah, and I apologize, Jason. You're going to be on the show soon. But
just let him in. It's fine.
All right. Well,
we'll just let him.
We'll let Jason in now. But
I think because you're long-winded. But
I am. But here's the deal.
Okay.
So Tino sits there and tells me this, and he goes, "So what do I need to do to trade my game system?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, my God, this sounds like I'm talking to my mom about how to work everything.
Well, no, I'm saying what.
But hold on. The reason why I say that is because of this. It's because Tino's sitting there saying, we use the PlayStation 4 to play all our apps. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you don't have a smart TV? And he goes, no. We're one of those families that keeps our TV until the very last minute. And this is a big screen TV. It's what, 50, 55?
That's about 60. That's a big one. That's 60, 65.
It's a monster of a TV, but it's not 4K. It's not, and you know, we're not saying anything negative in terms of the quality of the TV, because when it's that big, it doesn't fucking matter, right? But anyway, he's like, but we use the PlayStation for all the apps. So he goes, so I'm kind of having issues with the PlayStation. What do I do? And me being a former GameStop employee, I'm like, does it still load everything? Does it still do what it's supposed to? Does it still work properly?
I was trying to be honest.
And he's like, yeah, it does all that. And I'm like, okay, so take it into GameStop, make sure you got all the cables, and don't tell them any of this shit, so that way you at least get full credit for your trade. And Jason, you know what I'm talking about there, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So at the same time, Tino's sitting there. He's like, "But what do I do about my games?" And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, "This is like talking to my fucking mom."
Well, no, because if you remember, when I had the PS4, none of my PS3 games wouldn't play. That was my concern. I got all these PS4 games.
Fair statement. But I digress. I'm literally listening to him go, "Well, I only have 2 HDMI ports on the TV. I only have this."
That's because you said we'll get the
and so
thing.
So here's the thing, everybody. I'm sitting there telling Tino that if you're gonna buy a $500 game system, you should not use that as your apps for your TV. You shouldn't use it for Netflix. You shouldn't use it for the DVD player.
So why is it on there?
Jason, am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just because
it's a $500 DVD player, basically.
If you're not playing games on it, you're not trying hard enough.
Well, I'm playing games on it, but because the TV that we have it on isn't a smart TV and it's in the living room where everybody is, we also stream like Netflix and Hulu and all that stuff when we want to watch movies.
So that's when, you know, like I was telling other people this story, and they're like, why doesn't he just switch the TV out and get a smart TV? And I'm like, he doesn't want to get a smart TV yet, but I told him you should get just like a Roku box, which will do all the other stuff that you needed to do.
And that's when I said I ran an HDMI. I don't have any more HDMI. I got to get a splitter.
But it would take the place of...
Yeah. Understandable. That wasn't my point.
But having this conversation with you while we're sitting there having you know, the meal was just one of those things where I'm like, I'm talking to my mom here.
And pretty much I was talking out loud. So I was trying to...
You were trying to figure it all out on your own, but you were asking the questions. But my mom does, you know, and you're better than my mom, because my mom would be like, are you coming over to the house to hook it all up and show me how to use it? And I'm like, I'm not doing that for Tino. You know, like
No, I don't need anybody.
like all I need is Tino to sit there and go, I get it. And by the way, folks, there was finally that moment where him and I were sitting there eating our meal before we went to the pay-per-view or premium live event. Sorry, but there was that moment where all of a sudden you were like, oh, I know exactly what you mean now. And I was like,
no, I don't remember that.
oh, I do. I remember it. It was the moment where like you were trying to figure out like, what do you mean I don't need a DVR? What do you mean I don't need?
That's what you got 3 different conversations going on.
No, dude.
I'm talking about leaving cable alone, cutting cable, and I said I still want to have my DVR and all that stuff. And I was trying to figure out how I can still DVR shows. And you got 3 different conversations.
But I told you all you had to do was cut your cable box, whatever box it was, because you already have AT&T. All you need to do is have a Roku that allows for cloud storage, and it takes care of all of it. Same HDMI port takes care of the problem. And Tino's like, what are you talking about? And it wasn't until you finally went, you motherfucker, like all I need is one thing to be able to, and then you were like, fuck it, I got it.
No, it's the YouTube TV. It's when I click, I'm like, well, I'll just get YouTube TV and I can have.
Well, we were talking about you actually trying to set up like Google Internet and everything else.
Because I got Google Fiber laying in front of my house.
Because they're laying it now, yeah. But I do want to point out, like, completely other stuff. We get done with the show. The show was great. Like, thank you, Jason, for everything that you did to set up us going to the show.
Rob is going to be old, man.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure.
We're in the parking deck.
Rob is going to be old, man. He's going to have an ulcer before he's damn 50.
I don't have any ulcers.
You will. You keep up acting like you're in that damn garage.
But hold on. We don't move for 45 minutes.
That time's gone up. It went from the other day we were in the garage, it was 20. Then I'm like, we love you. We were in there for 30 minutes. Now it's 45.
We got out. Hold on. We got out. I'm going to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
We said bye to Jason and his dad at 11:16. Mm-hmm. We got out of that parking deck at 12:06.
Whoa.
That's 50.
It was like 11:45.
No, it was not.
Jason, you know how I know Jason? Because every 5 minutes, we ain't moving. I'm sitting there playing my game. Bitching about it ain't going to make it go no faster. So he said, we ain't moving. We're not moving. We've been sitting here 5 minutes. We've been sitting here 10 minutes. I'm like, bitch, okay. We've been sitting here 15 minutes. I'm like, every 5 minutes. I'm like, calm down. Grumpy on. And he's laughing because he knows the truth.
Got him.
But about 30 minutes into it,
oh Jesus!
I sit there and I noticed the parking deck had 2 different downs, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we haven't moved where we're at. We're looking and we notice nobody has moved. So there's got to be an accident or there's got to be something causing the pile up. But then I look and I see the other one and it's moving down. And I'm like, I wonder if Jason and his dad went down that one.
Yep.
I knew it. But I sat there and I was like, okay, wait 2 minutes, whatever. And then I was like, you think I can back up and get out? And you're like, I don't know. Like, depends on how close the car is behind you. And I was able to meander and right around. And within 10 minutes, we got out of that parking deck. They stopped charging people because of how long it was taking people to get out of the parking deck.
They were charging to begin with, but that's not my best part. That's not my.
I know what your favorite part is. I know what your favorite part is.
Jason, so we get out, right?
Uh-huh.
So we get stopped at the stoplight with the railroad trucks are, and all of a sudden you hear
Do, 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 do,
and you see
do,
the train
do,
coming,
do, do, do.
and Rob's like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me!" And as he backs up, you know how slow those arms are supposed to come down?
Uh-huh.
Those arms, wham, in his car.
Oh no.
So let me point out.
But it was like slow motion because we're like, Rob's like, "I don't believe this. I don't believe this. I don't believe it." Boom, boom.
Well, let me put it this way. It's 10 after 12.
Oh my god!
It's literally 10 after 12.
Oh.
And I'm like, we basically pulled into the lane, and then it was dun 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 dun, and it sounded like the same music as when the WWE lowers the cage, because we just saw the cage match.
Because I see the train coming, and he's trying to back up, and these arms are coming down, and I just start laughing. I couldn't do anything but laugh.
The sons of bitches hit my car. It went dunk. And then they didn't just hit my car, but it was as I backed up, they went dunk, 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 dunk.
The whole way down.
All the way down the hood of the car.
Dang.
Luckily, they didn't hit the car hard enough to actually do any damage, but we couldn't move forward as they were coming down because there was another car there. And
there's a car behind it.
And there's a car behind me because we literally pulled out into that lane of traffic.
So thank God the car behind him backed up, saw what was happening, and started backing up and let him back up, but it still hit his car.
It still hit the car, and the train missed us by...
That train wasn't near us.
2.5 feet?
That train wasn't near us, yeah.
2.5 feet.
You backed up far enough off that train when it hit us.
Well, but if that car behind me hadn't backed up, we would have been...
I wouldn't have been no way. I'd have been out that car. It would have been you. I'd have got out.
That had to have been scary.
Well, I'm gonna sit in the car and die too, bitch. I see a train. I'm like, oh, Rob's gonna get hit. I'm gonna get hit. Fuck you. I love you. I'll try to pull you out. But you want to go out the ship like the Titanic.
Oh man.
I called Jason. You gotta come back and get me. I'm dead.
You know this. So, folks. Here's the saddest part about this. I believe you. Like, you would have gotten out of the car, and I'd have still been thinking, how do I back this car up far enough to where I don't get hit? And then the train would have hit me and just moved me across and scraped and done all, and Tino would have been outside. Well, you might have been outside the car at the beginning, but you might have been pulled along with the car.
I want to know that if the train would have kept coming, I'm not gonna get him close enough. No, I'd have cleared it. Trust me, I'd have cleared it. I'd have been out enough time to clear it. I'd have been yelling, "Get out the car! Get out the car!"
I can't. I can't. It would have been what you would have been hearing from me.
Get out the car.
I've been like, my leg's stuck. My leg's stuck. You know, whatever. But
I called Jason. Jason, you got to turn around. I need to ride home.
Hey, I would have turned back around. I mean, I would have had space for the both of y'all.
God.
No. But I literally was like, I bet Jason and his dad went down the other way. It took forever
to get out of Charlotte. I mean,
and then as soon as we were out of Charlotte, it was nothing. But
we had fun though.
We had a great time. The show was good. We'll talk about the wrestling because that's why we brought Jason on. We'll talk about the wrestling show itself. We'll talk about somebody able to predict what's coming next in multiple situations, right? But other than that, you said what's going on with you?
Yes, sir.
So this week, I messaged the artist of Immortal, my comic book that's coming up, you know.
Right.
Yes.
And he messages me and he goes, sometimes bad goes to worse. And I'm like, what the fuck what's going on with him now? So he pulled a muscle in his back, which makes it hard to sit at the drawing table and actually draw. Well, he's walking down the stairs this week, and he misses a stair. So he was at the hospital this week because because he hurt himself again. And he tore like a ligament in his leg.
Ow.
He did say that he doesn't think it's got anything to do with the comic book. Like, he still thinks he can draw and everything else. But it's just another setback. And I feel horrible because I'm like, Rob, what are we going to do about this, man? Like, we got to get this book out, you know? Like,
he can still draw, so what? How is that?
Well, but with the back problem, he can't sit at the drawing table.
Yeah.
So now he's got a back problem and a leg problem. Like, maybe the back problem finally starts subsiding, so he's like, I can still draw. And then all of a sudden he goes, now the leg is acting, you know, whatever. So that was a setback. Obviously, last week we talked about Grubs and how I'm going to be part of it. I do want to point out that friend of the show, Unfiltered Sean Cruz.
Got it.
I asked him. He's on vacation this week with his wife, so he didn't respond. But he has Jason. I don't know if you heard this, but a guy by the name of Mikey Ruckus. Do you know who that is?
Name sounds very familiar.
Mikey Ruckus is the guy who does all the theme music for AEW wrestlers.
Oh.
Ah.
So Unfiltered Sean Cruz tomorrow is dropping.
How do you pull that up? That's cool.
He knows Mikey Ruckus. You know how it is, man. Like you have friend rates for certain things. You know what I mean.
That's cool.
So Mikey Ruckus is dropping Unfiltered, which will be the theme song for Sean Cruz going forward. I asked him if we could actually launch the song here tonight. Didn't hear back. So unfortunately, folks, it'll be available on Spotify and everything tomorrow.
Okay.
But I wanted to point out that the artwork for it was done by one Rob Potsy Project.
Yeah.
So I sent Mikey Ruckus a friend request. So we'll see whether or not we can.
Facebook.
Yeah, we'll see whether or not we can start moving stuff along. Apparently, he's friends with a guy named Maxwell and some other folks. But it's funny when you actually see Maxwell's actual name.
Maxwell Jacob, or Maxwell the performer, the singer.
So MJF, who he actually is, like his Facebook account is not Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Oh.
So I'll just put it that way. Other than that, doing some coloring work because got the deal with my buddy Daryl. We're drinking some Terramana tonight. The Rocks tequila.
Yep.
And Jason, what is up with you, my
What's up
friend?
with you? You can join us this segment as well.
Blitzball champ.
What's up with you?
Sumi Sakai fan club.
Shut up, let me talk.
Who will be wrestling for the DPW Championship February 25th?
You brought it up. You cannot be mad. You brought it up. You kept your mouth shut. Nope. You walked into that. You opened that door. No. You don't know that, but you opened the door. You walked away. Anyway,
the DLPW.
Go ahead, Jay.
But it's been going pretty well. Just been constantly uploading content. I mean, Carolina Panthers updates with the coaching staff. Ever since the beginning of this year, I made a goal to start introducing myself to more Joshi Pro Wrestling promotions. And just recently, I've gotten to check out shows like Ice Ribbon, Women's World Wrestling Diana, Seedling, Pro Wrestling Wave. So I've been diving more into more Joshi promotions. Thankfully, they're a lot more accessible now. So been getting more involved in that, as well as my usual streaming via Blitzball Champ Gaming, and also have been to a couple of shows live. Went to GCW Don't Talk to Me a couple of weeks ago in Concord, and of course we had a blast at NXT Vengeance Day. So been going to a lot of shows and uploading a lot of content. That's mainly been me.
So Tino's got a question for you, Jason.
How are you? You said you're making it a point to reach out and just meet these promoters. How are you doing that?
Oh, as far as promotions, so online, I've been following their Twitter accounts, and thankfully, whenever they have upcoming shows, they'll link the website. For example, Ice Ribbon, they link to the website where you can actually purchase like a live streaming ticket of the show. And typically the shows, some of them are pretty small, like maybe 5 matches, but they have plenty of time in each of those matches. Like, Marvelous Pro Wrestling Diana, you're usually getting 4 or 5 match small shows, but they're decent time for each match.
So you're not going to the shows, you're watching them online. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Going to all these shows.
I wish.
He does when they're local. He does when they're local.
That's cool.
Yes, and now as far as local, like as I mentioned, Deadlock Pro Wrestling, which for those watching, it's a North Carolina-based promotion that I highly recommend. They just hit their 1-year anniversary December of last year. That's how I've been able to meet some Joshi Pro wrestlers, among others that have come from different promotions such as AEW, Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. So definitely, if you're ever in the North Carolina area, they've had shows in Raleigh, Concord, Durham. They're going to have their first one in Lexington in May. So,
is that the one you're telling me and Rob we got to go to?
yes, that is y'all's payment for me.
What's that?
That is y'all's payment for me.
Yeah,
DLPW.
Where's Lexington? Where's Lexington? Is that by Charlotte?
It's like on the way there. Small town. It's not too bad. Maybe an hour and some change.
Where is it? But when is it?
May 20th. But they have a list on their site of like a bunch of different dates that are TBA as far as venue and location. But they're North Carolina based, so their show is going to be in North Carolina. So that's me.
20th, I may have something.
What?
Comic-Con. If the horror convention is that weekend, then I'll be in Raleigh.
We'll see.
So, unfortunately.
We'll see.
But, you ready to talk about wrestling? Jason, you ready to talk about wrestling?
As ready as can be.
All right, we're gonna start last week with SmackDown. Start with SmackDown.
Okay. I hit that one. Sure. SmackDown.
All right. So with WWE SmackDown last week, we got the Charlotte versus Sonya Deville match.
Yeah.
What happened?
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember all the.
Who won?
Well, Charlotte won. Sonya didn't win that. I'm trying to remember everything that happened with SmackDown.
Made her tap.
So earlier in the night, you had Roman basically sit there and tell Jimmy and Solo that they could
yelled
go.
At him, yeah.
Well, he was like, "Where's your brother?"
Yeah.
And then after he did all that, he basically said, "The wise man ordered sushi, so go enjoy yourself." Right.
Well, that's before he yelled at him. Then they came back. Then he felt bad. He apologized. He said, "You know what? I should have yelled. The wise man ordered sushi and steaks on the bus. I don't know what else." He said, "But go enjoy yourself."
But Jimmy then actually looked at the wise man and said, "Hey, wise man, thanks for that."
Yeah.
And Paul Heyman looked at him like, "Why the fuck are you talking to me?"
He did.
Like
You see when Jay was upset. He was all like,
Jay,
not Jay, Roman. He was upset. He was going to cry. And Paul, it was perfect. Paul's behind him. He's like, he's going to touch him on the shoulder. He goes, no. Paul Heyman is so perfect. He is perfect.
So good. So good. Like, it's Emmy worthy, bro. Like, I hate the fact that daytime Emmys have awards for fucking soap operas, and the WWE can't even be part of that. You know, like this.
They're episodic.
But this story is equal to or better.
It's coming to an end.
But it's equal to or better than anything that those shows have done.
Right.
But then Roman comes out, and in classic Roman fashion, he's on the mic and he goes, "I'd rather talk about the future and what's coming, but y'all want to talk about the past. So y'all want to talk about Sammy? I'll talk about Sammy." And he proceeds to start talking about how, like, it was when he started going to restaurants and he was hoping that they'd be like, "Hey, Tribal Chief, what can we do for you?" Instead, it was,
"What can I do for them?
What about Sammy? What about this? What about that?" And he said, "And that's not the way the Tribal Chief lives. That's not the way that I do things. That's not what's going on." So Sammy was selfish. And so I got to ask both of you, because we obviously have three opinions here.
Okay.
Sammy showing up. I know that it's because they only have 3 weeks to promote Elimination Chamber. But after the beatdown he received at Royal Rumble, should he have shown up so soon?
Rationally, in that, no. But because they have 3 weeks to build this, yes.
They have to.
Yes.
Jason, how do you feel?
They should have done it earlier so he had more time to sell the injury.
Being that Elimination Chamber is literally next Saturday, yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Tina on that. Just definitely, they had to make a move because of time, but earlier definitely would have been better. But because Elimination Chamber's next Saturday.
So, coupling with that, we all know, like, kayfabe wise, that Jey Uso has had issues legally being able to leave the country. He didn't show up in Cardiff when the Tribal Chief faced Drew McIntyre and they had to bring Solo in.
Right.
He's not allowed to go to Canada right now, and Elimination Chamber is in Montreal. But, side note, they were able to get him into Winnipeg for a previous show after his legal issues. No.
I'm going to say that's not going to be a problem, only because, and we've talked about this, they're in Montreal. So they're not going to be in Montreal, and of course they're going to have Sammy, but you're not going to Montreal and not have Kevin. And I think Kevin is going to be the one. They'd rather have Jimmy come in, or excuse me, Jay. They'd rather have Jay come in and do shenanigans, but because they can't, I think that Kevin's a perfect fit.
So, I agree with you, but I think this is going to be one of those clusterfuck matches where it is Kevin comes down, Kevin takes out Solo, Kevin takes out Jimmy, and then while that's all going on, everybody's like clearing the three of them out, right? And then we get to the finish, and you like Roman's holding Sammy like this or whatever, and the referee's down. Jay comes running out, grabs a chair, looks at Sammy, looks like he's gonna hit Roman, and then he plows Sammy with the chair.
I gotta think about this. So you don't want Roman to lose.
Right. But like I said,
what if-
referee's down.
But what if they come out, because this will follow me here. If Roman doesn't lose, but something it's like a disqualification or a double disqualification, that would set up more for Sammy being like, hey, I didn't get my fair shot. He does something to get into that match at WrestleMania. You see what I'm saying?
So it really depends on whether or not they think Sammy deserves to get into that match at WrestleMania. Because right now, everything you still hear is that it's going to be Sammy and Kevin versus the Usos.
But I don't
buy that.
I would like to think that WWE
I don't want that.
is not going to mess that. I don't think they want to pull another Daniel Bryan.
I think.
You see what I'm saying?
I think
they don't want to piss the fans off and pull another Daniel Bryan.
Well, but they didn't piss the fans off with Daniel Bryan. They actually let him have his.
No. What I'm saying is, if they don't, that's what I'm saying. If they don't give him his due, like I want to say, piss them off, Daniel Bryan, like they did at WrestleMania, and the fans fucking weren't having it, and that's why they gave it to him. I think if they don't strike this while Sammy's hot and give him the belt, even if it's short term, if they don't strike while it's hot and give him the belt, I think the fans are going to turn on him.
Now
that's a possibility they'll turn on Cody.
I'm going to let Jason say what he wants to say, but you have both heard my statement of how you do this and give the two guys that are both over baby faces their due.
But that's what I'm saying. In order to get to where you are, I think at the Elimination Chamber they have to have something screwy for them to have. I think that'd be logical.
You got to have that moment,
reason.
and you're right.
Yeah.
And Jason obviously has something he wants to say. So Jason, go ahead. But if I cut you off, it's because Sumi Sakai cannot be in this.
Shut up.
Oh my god. So, what's really making this super difficult, especially with the timing between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania, I'm a firm believer that the Usos are going to lose their titles before Roman Reigns loses his. I think the part that I'm really struggling with is, being able to do all of that, and stay in sync with the long-term storytelling, because it's like, I mean, you got Elimination Chamber. There's not another event between now and WrestleMania. Is that confirmed?
No.
But aren't the Usos defending their tag titles this Friday? So
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. So if they were to lose it, this would be a good time for them to go. Like you said, they're going to lose theirs before Roman loses his. So I'm wondering if tomorrow is going to be that time. I didn't want to cut you off.
No. But I foresee that what's going to happen is the wise man will go talk to Adam Pearce tomorrow night and say, well, Jey Uso's not here, so another bloodline member must take the place of Jey Uso, which will be Jimmy and Solo, and then they lose to Drew and Sheamus.
Sheamus. Mm-hmm.
What? No. I'm sorry. It's not Drew and Sheamus. It's Braun and Ricochet.
Oh yeah, that's right. Braun and Ricochet. They're the number one contenders.
Now I wonder if it's going to be both belts or if it's going
no.
It's
just the SmackDown belt.
Just the SmackDown.
Like, they're up for the SmackDown belts,
mm-hmm.
and the Raw belts.
Street Profits.
It's very well. I don't even know if it's Street Profits. I think that they've already started saying this team, or this team can because with Montez in the Elimination Chamber, I don't think that the Street Profits are going to be in that whole thing. But ideally, it means that the Raw belts will still be held by the Usos come WrestleMania.
Okay.
But they're going to lose the SmackDown belts to Ricochet and Braun because, I mean, it may just be Jimmy by himself with Solo as the enforcer going, what do you mean I can't tag in? Or they allow Solo to actually be part of the match, and because they're not a well-known tag team, they don't have the same chemistry or whatever. So that's kind of what I think is going to happen there.
What were you saying though? You finished the run. Finish this thing.
Me, Jason.
No, that was pretty much it. No, that's pretty much it.
So SmackDown ended with Roman coming out talking about Sammy, and Sammy beating the shit out of him until
they got jumped because they got both the steaks and the sushi.
They finished their steak and sushi and they ran out and they took him down. However, the main statement there was Sammy grabbing a mic and saying, "This is where you're wrong, Roman.
Yes.
I never wanted anything until now."
And this is, so if they beat him down this week, depending on if he comes out next week, Jason, and this is how Robin's heard me say this theory. I go back to, I've been watching wrestling since I was 5. So I go back to the 5-year-old, and it never, my 5-year-old me, it never fails. If you get beat down before pay-per-view, you're going to win that pay-per-view. Now, having said that, we know he's not going to win that belt. He's not going to beat Roman, but I think that something's going to happen. I don't know if it's disqualification. Roman may go over, and Adam might come out, well, since you had help, you get this in order to get that spot. But I think that this leads into him. I agree with you. The more I thought about it, I agree with you. Yeah, he's probably going to end up in that. It's going to be a triple threat, but they have to set up why. And I think at the Elimination Chamber, this would be the perfect time for them to set up why. Sammy gets screwed somehow. Adam comes out and says, "Okay, you got screwed here. Boom, we get you do this, and then you can get into that main event."
I hope that we have a moment similar to Mick Foley, where remember when he put Shane in the hole to get himself into the match. I hope we get a moment like that where Sammy finally loses his shit.
You know, it'd be perfect. He fucking grabs a hold of Paul Heyman.
That's what I'm thinking.
He grabs Paul Heyman.
And Paul's like, fine, yes, you can have it.
Or Roman comes out and says, "Yes, you can have it." Or do you think this character of Roman would stick up for Paul like that?
No.
He let his ankle get snapped.
If Sammy were holding him in like the crippler crossface or whatever, which seems to be the favorite hold now. If he were holding him in that hold, and Jason, you've been watching wrestling just as long as us. Yes. He was holding him in that hold. Roman would sit there and he wouldn't budge.
Right.
If it was Paul.
Okay.
Scary.
If it was a bloodline member, if it was a bloodline historic member, like Alpha or Sika.
That's his dad. One of his dad, right? So yeah, you got his dad.
That's where I would say that yes, you get him to sit there and go, fine, and have Sammy sit there and say, hey, and I've already said it. WrestleMania Night 1. Have him fight for his way into the match. WrestleMania Night 2. And this is where, I really want the YouTube community to hear this. WrestleMania Night 2. Sammy's in that match now. They make it a 2-fall match. You have
The first falls for the
Raw belt,
Mhm.
second falls for the SmackDown belt, whatever the case is. And it doesn't matter which one wins what belt. If Cody wins the first belt, it's the Raw belt.
Yeah.
That's fine. So if he wins that night, and it doesn't matter who he pins, like, if you really want to keep Roman strong, you have him take either pinfall. You have Cody beat Sammy. You have Sammy beat Cody. But it's been almost 3 years, guys.
It's been pinned. So I would say let Cody pin Sammy and let Sammy get that pin over Roman.
Well, and the question is, do you have Sammy pin Roman first, so that way Cody's the one that holds the belt up at the end of the night?
Yeah.
And you know, like, Cody is one of those guys who understands the industry. He this week, you know, we're not even talking about Raw yet, but this week he came out and he said
that promo.
But before Paul Heyman walked out, he finally put that inkling of dissension in Roman versus Cody, and he said, "It may be my friend Sami Zayn versus Cody Rhodes, and if it is, I'm all for it."
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then Paul came down.
You want to switch, or you want to finish up SmackDown?
Yeah, you know what? We can go right in. I mean, it's the promo, right? It is the Raw promo. It is the whole thing that made Raw what it was. But and it was a 12-minute promo.
Didn't seem like it. That thing.
It did not.
Oh my God.
It did not. But talking about this moment where, first of all, Cody obviously was under the weather. You could hear it in his voice.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have a voice. He's sitting there trying to get through the promo.
His list was a little thick.
You definitely heard the list multiple times, which is fine. He's obviously proven the list doesn't matter, which is good because a lot of these guys have not proven that. So again, talking about specifically the moment when he sat there and he said, "Now after Friday, it might not be Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes," and I'm okay with that. Yeah. I'm going to prepare for both men. I'm going to prepare for it's the right move.
Yes.
And it's something that WWE typically does not do. Because you know that Sammy doesn't have a chance in hell of beating Roman. But now, there's that shred of hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think, Jason? You still know it's not going to happen.
But there's a shred of hope.
I don't think so.
No. But there is a shred. Cody brought it up.
What do you think, Jay?
I mean, my whole thing is this: like, for sure the time has come for Roman to eat the pin. Like, the time has come. Now, I'm guessing the whole idea is for sure the titles are going to get split. Like, so is this all what this is coming?
WWE knows that they need to have a title on Raw and a title on SmackDown. And if Roman's not going to be your champ, and obviously at this point, Roman doesn't even show up on most shows.
Right.
So for ratings and everything else, splitting the belts is the most important thing. Now, it doesn't mean that WrestleMania is the day that happens. It just means that WrestleMania is the day where it really opens eyes, because I think Roman takes a vacation after that.
Yeah, and it would make sense. He's long overdue. He's definitely long overdue.
So, what's your opinion? Like, what do you like? Do we think Sammy has a chance at Elimination Chamber?
It's going to look convincing, but will not win. But it will look convincing.
So, does Sammy have a chance to win? Yes, no.
No,
That's it.
I'm gonna have to
That's
say
it.
officially no.
No.
You get to talk, let the man talk.
No. But the reason why I'm asking is because he just gave his statement to it that they're going to try to make it look convincing that he's got a chance. And sorry, Jason, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh
The
no, you're good.
fact that it really is a yes or no statement here. Does Sammy have a chance? And the answer is
No.
no. Do they have a way of not killing Sammy's babyface pop that he has right now while letting him lose that match? Kind of what I said, right? And that's the problem. And this is where the ultimate problem has been happening, is that WrestleMania plans could be in place for 8, 12, 16, 18 months. It doesn't matter, right? The fact is that if an act gets this over, in the past, you've given the Yes Movement its spot. You've given Kofi Mania its spot. If you don't do that this year, do the fans riot? Tino says probably.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, can y'all see Sami Zayn with a main title? With a main top title?
Fuck yeah.
Like,
now, and Jason, to your question, if you had asked me before he joined the Bloodline, I would have said the guy that went against Johnny Knoxville at WrestleMania, no. However,
I see.
However, if you had asked me, the guy that literally carried this bloodline story for 9 months, he absolutely should be the guy to pin Roman. Am I wrong?
No, that's fair. That's fair.
So, Tino?
I think, you can't judge off of one WrestleMania. Before that WrestleMania thing, he was still fire. He just got. I think it showcased it more because he was more prominent on TV. But before he joined the Bloodline, Sami Zayn was still, like I said, yeah, he had the thing with the Jackass thing. But you got to think about all that stuff he was doing before that. When he was doing the conspiracy theory, all the shit he was. You before he joined the Bloodline, you were even saying Sami Zayn is making SmackDown great.
Well, and I'll go as far as this.
So yes, he could have before the Bloodline. Yes, he could have. If they pushed him, he could have been a champion.
When the pandemic started, 2 wrestlers disappeared off the roster.
Owens, no.
Roman Reigns.
Oh yeah.
Sami Zayn. Because Roman Reigns was afraid with having twin daughters at home and having leukemia that he would not be able to stay safe during the pandemic. Perfectly acceptable reason.
Yep.
Kept him off TV from like right before WrestleMania when he was supposed to go, him and Goldberg, all the way to SummerSlam, right? Sami Zayn also stayed off TV the exact same amount of time. When Sami Zayn came back, he was immediately put back into the Intercontinental Championship thing with Jeff Hardy. And because remember, this is when Sami Zayn, during his conspiracy theory shit, locked Jeff Hardy's ear to the fucking ladder and made everybody go, holy shit, I've never seen this before, and this is epic. And then shortly thereafter, and I have to say, most likely, because as soon as the ratings started going up on SmackDown, I said to you, everyone's gonna say that this is because of Roman, but Sami came back the same fucking night, and I told you that. You remember it, don't you? And yet Roman gets to take all the credit for it. When Roman signed his new contract that said, I'm not going to be here every week, they were like, well, who's driving ratings? And this is a TK moment. This is a Tony Khan thing of who's driving ratings. Fucking Sami Zayn is driving ratings. So after he dropped the Intercontinental title, Gunther picked up the Intercontinental title. What are we going to do with Sami?
Yeah.
Put him in the fucking bloodline. Because Roman's not there every week. And we don't want the Usos taking pins. We don't want Solo taking pins. Who can take the pins? The one guy that's not actually bloodline.
That's good because he's got a more Raw. His quarter 10 we still got.
I'm sorry, but
the pay-per-view we got.
But I'm saying is right? All right. Let's move on.
Whoa. I want to do something a couple things. You have the elimination chamber, not the elimination. You have the steel cage match with
Bailey and Becky.
I want to talk about that, but first I want to talk about this elimination chamber qualifying match because it just tickled me and I popped for it. Chelsea Green and Asuka. Now,
yes, that's my girl.
With her Karen, I want to talk to you. If I don't get this match, I'm gonna talk. And I'm gonna talk to your manager. Mm-hmm. She gets in there saying she's not in this match because she can beat everybody else that's in this match, right? So he puts her in with Asuka. Then all the other ladies that are in the elimination come out and watch her too, and she's steadily talking shit to each. What I wanted them to do after she got beat was go in and just beat the shit out of her. But let's talk about Asuka. Asuka is going back, and I think it's got Triple H's fingerprints all on it.
Kinda.
But she's gone back to that kick. She's not that comedy guy anymore. She's gone back to that I'm gonna whoop your ass, Asuka. And I think this is the Asuka that needs to be all along. And I'm calling it now. This is the Asuka that's gonna beat Bianca Belair for that title.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo!
I don't disagree. I think you're right. At the same time, it's amazing because Vince McMahon was able to get an Asuka character that was not Asuka over.
This is true.
He was a multiple-time women's champion.
Who?
Asuka.
In NXT, that was Triple H. That had nothing to do with it.
No. I'm talking about the Raw Women's Championship.
2-time champ and a 1-time SmackDown champ.
That whole I got Asuka character, he got over.
Yep.
She got over. Okay. This character right now is scary.
Yeah.
It's scary. And by the way, because it's Triple H actually booking this right now, don't sleep on one other competitor in that elimination chamber.
There's Asuka. There's who's
There's Raquel.
Okay.
Oscar.
Jason, go ahead and tell us who's in there.
Okay, so who's
I
in
got
it?
you.
Who's in it?
Raquel, Nikki, Carmella, Natalia, and Liv.
So I'm going to tell you the one not to sleep on.
Nikki Cross.
No.
No. Raquel.
No. Natalia.
Mm,
I think Natalia's more there now. She's an old timer. I think she's there now to put the younger talent over.
Going into WrestleMania, who better to sell a match than a Heart Foundation member?
I understand, but
versus Bianca Belair.
But you got to understand, I think this time the year ain't take this belt off of Bianca. I don't think they're going to put it on Natalia. I see what you're saying, but nah.
Now's the perfect time to take it off Bianca.
No, they're going to take it off Bianca, but I don't see it being Natalia doing it, is what I'm saying.
And that's where I'm saying, don't be surprised to sit there and finally have Natalia, who was a woman who farted, a woman
I do
who
remember
made
that.
sounds, a woman who, like, whatever the fucking thing that Vince McMahon was like, let's fuck this up. Don't be surprised if she gets one good run now. And
can't see it, but
when you look at who, and you're right, Asuka could give a great match at WrestleMania with her. But who's the only other woman out of all those people that could?
I mean, then that just don't sleep on Carmella.
See, I have an issue with that.
Yeah, you surprised?
Should I mute him?
No. No.
Go ahead, Jason.
You look there.
So here's the thing. All, love and respect for Natalia. I mean, she's legendary. Here's the thing. With this Asuka return, who is looking to take the form of her Kana, my only issue with it so far was in her match with Chelsea, she was still doing the spouting. I really feel like it should be a thing where she doesn't speak and just is being dangerous like the normal kind of character usually is in Japan. My thing is, if they don't hit this moment for Asuka, who is still winless at WrestleMania, for her to finally have the one thing that is missing on her resume that can seal her legacy in the WWE, and that's a victory at WrestleMania. We have to remember, she has literally done pretty much everything there is to do for a woman in the WWE. They got to capitalize on that now. They have to.
Well,
they have to.
But I mean, if we were to look at Natalia, it's probably the same thing.
She's won at WrestleMania, though.
Mm-hmm.
She won in a tag team match.
Asuka's winless. She's winless.
So is Sasha Banks. It doesn't matter.
No, she finally got her win. It was a tag team match, but she did finally get her win.
Sasha Banks?
Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
So, but I want to, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, we don't.
No. Go ahead.
I was going to go to the steel cage match with Becky, because I forgot earlier tonight that Becky had said on my phone call, or I might have a friend. I forgot about that. So I'm watching this match. I knew she was going to win. But when they started climbing the cage, I was like, who's going to come in? Because I forgot. And all of a sudden, Lita's music. Where the fuck did that come from? Lita's music hits. And she comes out. So I thought that was kind of cool. So I think they're leading to Lita, and they're saying that it's going to be Lita, Becky, and I think Trish is coming back to face Damage Control at Mania.
In Canada, it makes sense to have Trish. There was a statement that basically came out that said that Trish had been asked and she turned it down.
Oh,
But I truly think that it's just they didn't want to sell the idea that Trish is going to be the one coming back as soon as she does. I'm a little disappointed in the Mommy and Finn versus Edge and Beth match. Because I was hoping it would be a bigger match. I was hoping it would be all of Judgment Day and then Edge, Beth, and maybe the Street Profits, maybe another tag team, maybe someone that had already been working against.
It makes sense though if Mommy's in a match. It makes sense to have Dom in that match because Beth was going to be the best.
Well, that's why I would have done all 4 versus 4. But yeah, I see that. I'm disappointed that it's Beth and Edge versus Finn and Rhea, which there's, besides being in the same group, there's not that.
Well, you got Beth and Rhea, obviously, but you got Edge and Finn because Finn took over. I can see it. It makes sense. It makes sense.
I'm still a little bit surprised that Dom isn't involved. Because what I would have done is I would have put Dom and Ray.
They're probably saving Dom and Ray for WrestleMania.
Oh, they're totally saving Dom and Ray for WrestleMania. Right. But you got to get to it.
All right.
Anyways,
let's talk about the pay-per-view because I want to talk about what happened. Because in order to talk about what happened Tuesday night, we got to go back to the pay-per-view.
It's on you, brother.
All right. So I'm going to let Jay take the lead on this one. What do you think of the pay-per-view? We're going to run down these matches, but what do you think of the pay-per-view? What grade would you give in the pay-per-view?
Honestly, I thought it was a solid B+, mainly because I enjoyed the matches. The match quality I thought was there. Despite some of the outcomes that I wasn't in agreement with, the match quality I think was strong. And I think what decreased the grade to a B+ for me was just disappointment from certain outcomes.
Well, it was so just so everybody knows, Jason gave his choices as to who he expected to win the matches. And what was your record for the night, Jason? Just so everybody knows.
I believe it was 2-5.
And I think I was 3-4. I think Tino actually had a better record than both of us. I think he had a winning record. So I'm not saying that to disparage you. I am gonna say that one thing I realized, and I'll let both of you talk about the matches more than I do. This was the first real premium live event for NXT, not only outside of the Performance Center, but just in general since the pandemic started, except for WrestleMania weekend. And from the moment Shawn Michaels walked out and told us that Charlotte was one of those cities that he wanted to make sure that was where they actually did one of these events. After that, this was the first real event from NXT that I felt reminded me of the Black and Gold brand. It really felt like these folks were AEW level in terms of the quality of the match. So I'm going to let both of you talk now.
That's interesting. What was first? One did Wesley and Dijak.
North American title.
Fucking amazing match.
Favorite match of the card?
That match, it was so hard hitting, and it was one of those. The "This Is Awesome" chant started. That's one of the few that I agree. this was awesome.
But it started so early.
Yeah. But Wesley came. I like we didn't get to see the package with him, the diary. So I went back and watched it. We didn't get to see the diary of his wife and saying how it's important to him and all this other stuff. So we just saw him come in the ring. Wesley took some shots because he was a smaller man in that match. He took some shots and some moves. I'm like, he's dead. A couple times I looked at Robin, oh, he's dead. He got thrown out of the ring. He got thrown all over that ringside. He got power bombed. He got slammed outside the ring on the concrete, and just kept coming back. He's like Gumby. So I thoroughly enjoyed the match. I still didn't see how and where that broken finger came into play. All I know is I looked up at the Tron. I said, I looked at something wrong. Look, and his finger was all just.
And it was his middle
all
finger.
sorts of jacked up.
He was sitting there like this, and the middle finger was like over here.
So I went back watched.
It was like
trying to figure out where it happened or how it happened. But that match was probably. I thought that
that match was
the match of the night.
Match of the night.
I was out, and we walked in. And I was telling Rob, I thought the match of the night would be Apollo and Carmelo, but no, this match outshone that one. So, what did you guys think of that match?
Jason, go ahead.
Definitely a clash of styles. Definitely quite a clash of styles. Overall, I really felt like it could have gone either way. And that's what really sells me on just the match quality when it's really played up to the point where it seems like it could go either way.
Well, I called Wesley winning that match, but what we didn't call and what we didn't realize
was Tony D'Angelo,
and he came from right
in front of us.
Right in front of us.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, like Wesley winning that match, like I think they're still doing that whole like, hey, we really like this kid, and he got a raw deal at the fact that his tag team partner was a piece of shit person. But at this point, I don't think that matters. Like, you look at him versus Dijak, and like, there's no way that Wesley should be able to win that match. And at least 4 or 5 times, we sat there and said, "Holy shit, he kicked out of that." Ultimately, though, I don't know what their plan is for Wesley. I know that this was a reestablishment of Dijak. Because, I mean, he was fucking T-Bar, right? And it makes you go, we got to forget T-Bar. Hell, we got to fucking forget Dijakovic because he's not him anymore, right?
Right.
So we gotta really look at it and go, okay, they brought him back. How do we establish him, and how do we really make him look like something? And dude performed as the opening match in a show that did not have an undercard, right? So it was okay. We're going live. You guys are first.
They set the bar for the night.
And they didn't just set the bar for the night, because you're absolutely right. Nobody could hold up to it. And you know what the saddest part about that is that when you look at it, those are 2 of the guys that were there before the Neon NXT, right?
Yep.
So they remember. And they probably sat there and said, oh, we're going on first for the main fucking event. Right? So go ahead. Go ahead.
Women's tag team titles.
Who won?
I called it again. Kiana James. Go ahead, Jay.
Match was good. Outcome made no sense to me, but at the same time, it doesn't surprise me because this is why women's tag team wrestling in American promotions is a joke.
Woof.
Whoa, that's
Woo.
wrong. Well,
Now,
why would you say
I
that?
will agree with your women's tag team wrestling as a joke on this card, because I don't think they gave the match the time that it needed, and I don't think that they really presented it the way that it should have been presented. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think that's the way that they portray all of women's tag team wrestling.
Oh no, just in American promotions, just here, just
I'm
here.
just talking about. I'm just talking about
Yeah,
like.
I'm curious why you say that.
A couple of reasons. One, there are too many randomly established, like thrown two ladies together to the point where there's no build up or anything like that, and then just a few matches, like as less as possible, and they're in contention for a title or win a tag title. Number two, you look at certain places like, for example, Impact Wrestling, who has tag team championships. The longest reigning tag team champion, knockout tag team champs are ODB and Eric Young for over 470 plus days. There is no coming back from that. That is a slap in the face of that division. Not only that, at one point, you actually had legit tag teams, even when you had one set of women's tag team titles in WWE. What the heck was the point of creating a second set on NXT when the original establishment was that they would be defended on all three brands?
All right, I'm going to stop you there. I appreciate the opinion because I agree with a lot of what you said. ODB and Eric Young as the women's tag team champions.
Longest reigning.
I'm going to stop you. I think what they did was they looked at this match and said, hey, Katana Chance and Caden Carter are the longest reigning tag team women's champions of all time in WWE. What else do they have to prove at the level that they're at? They're ready to move up. Will they move up before WrestleMania? Probably not. But, I mean, Katana Chance, Casey Catanzaro, whatever you want to call her, has been in the Royal Rumble. She's had exposure on the main roster. Caden Carter hasn't. So I kind of see them the week after WrestleMania, and I say the week because I don't think it's going to be the night. I think it's going to be SmackDown. That they're going to call out whoever is the women's tag team champions and say, "We're here. We're on SmackDown. It's our turn." And they're going to get a match at whatever the next pay-per-view is after WrestleMania.
Well, and we'll talk about this later when we get to NXT this week. But because at the end of that, they had the ding dong hello. Well, no, I'll take that back. Never mind.
Has nothing to do with Carter and Chance.
It changed. That's right.
And that's why I went the direction I went.
I forgot that they jumped Marty Jannetty.
Marty Jannetty.
But we're not there yet.
So them losing so that they could create a new tag team that is going to be the face of the tag team division in NXT is kind of what I expected here. To your point that why did they create another tag team championship? It's because Triple H did not like Vince McMahon's decision that Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler should be the overall tag team champions of the women's division in overall WWE. And that's why the winner of the Dusty Rhodes Women's Championship ended up getting the NXT Tag Team Championships. At some point, do I think that they'll combine them? Yes, I do. And the reason why is because there really isn't any need to have an NXT Women's Tag Team Championship now, because the women's division has been depleted after it was so stacked and so stout for so long. So I agree with a lot of what you said, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I see why they did what they did. As to Fallon and
Kiana James.
Kiana James winning, I ultimately think that it's more to bring the men's tag team that is Briggs and Jensen more together and making like an actual solid faction. At the same time, while we were at the show, I said that they should take Tiffany Stratton, mix her with Briggs, and make it Briggs and Stratton.
Then we had Apollo and Carmelo Hayes.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
You know, remember you said the other night when I did the odd joke, and I took it before. Yeah, that joke wasn't funny Sunday, wasn't Saturday, wasn't Monday.
Everybody liked it that night.
Anyway,
Briggs and Stratton.
That night, maybe.
Apollo versus Carmelo.
This one, while I knew Carmelo would win, I did not think he would win two straight.
When was the last time has that even happened?
Recently, actually. WWE did a 2 out of 3 falls, and somebody won 2 falls in a row. I can't remember who it was, but it did happen recently. I want to point out,
I thought this was going to be match of the night. I was wrong about that.
it was kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
But you know, Jason sat there and said, "What do you think is going to happen?" And what did I say? Commander Aziz.
He did. Yes, he did. He called it.
Returning as Dabakato.
That was his original name.
Dabakato, Babatunde before that. But yeah.
But even when I said that Commander Aziz was going to show up, after he took out Trick, I immediately said, "Did you notice he had nothing to do with Apollo and Carmelo?" Because when the match ended, what happened, Jason?
He picked up Apollo, hugged him, his face changed, then dropped him, and just took him out.
Which ultimately makes me think that Trick Williams is going to be kicked out of the Carmelo regime, and Dabakato is going to be the enforcer.
I also have an update as to why that happened.
Okay.
So word is, according to the reports, this was originally supposed to be the show that newest NXT signee Dragon Lee was supposed to debut, but couldn't due to visa issues.
Okay. So what did that have to do with this?
Who's
match?
Dragon Lee?
Oh,
Dragon Lee is Rush's younger brother.
Younger brother. He was an Impact.
Okay.
He's wrestled in Impact, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all that. But supposedly, the 2 out of 3 falls supposedly was the audible.
Was the audible?
Yeah, because I think the idea was Dragon Lee debuts against Carmelo.
Huh?
So I think the original idea, if I remember correctly, was Dragon Lee would debut against Carmelo Hayes at Vengeance Day.
No.
What? No, my shoes.
Oh. So But how long ago was that planned? Because this match was booked a month ago.
A month ago, yeah.
Well, like I said, Dragon Lee had visa issues, and being that
But that would have been. How would they know a month ago that he was having visa? I guess is my question.
I think processing of that, because the similar thing happened with Willow Nightingale when she was supposed to originally go wrestle at TJPW, but had the same issue, and that took a long while to
Did
resolve.
you just say TJPW?
Yes, Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling.
Yeah. All right. The 4-way tag match. Pretty Deadly. Chase U, Gallus, New Day. That was my first loss. Because I thought for sure.
Chase U.
Oh, speaking of, Rob was so jealous. Because we were like, where are these people going? And they got the Chase U shirts. And Rob's like, I want to be part of this. I want to be part of this. We had the Jason Waller signs that we couldn't leave on the railing.
Now hold on. Let's start at the beginning of this. When the guy with the earpiece kept walking up to those people, I was like, I bet those folks are wrestlers. Right? I did say that about the woman that had like the 4 straps and whatever. I said, I bet they're wrestlers. They totally were.
I think they're wrestlers. I think they were just.
No, they're local wrestlers that got a training session. They totally are.
How do you know that?
Because they always are. Because they always bring in local talent for certain things.
One of those people a little too chunky. I think she was a player. I don't think she was a wrestler. I'm telling you. But okay.
She was a friend of whomever, whatever. The fact is,
you're right.
They were all wearing the Chase U shirts. They were all in the Chase U section. But I totally, you're absolutely right when you say that I was jealous, because I was like, we're sitting here front row and I can't get me a Chase U shirt. And by the way, what really pissed me off is they weren't selling them.
Why? That was the point.
Like, you couldn't go buy a Chase. Dude, that arena was behind Chase U.
Yeah.
You heard it. Like, when he started doing the CHAS, like, we were all behind it. That place, because he's from 20 minutes down the road, would have been full of red Chase U shirts.
That was a problem, because they wanted to have a Chase U section.
Was that a problem, or was that a missed opportunity? And the reason why I asked that is because at these kind of events, they literally had a Charlotte 316 shirt.
She wasn't there though.
It was a Charlotte 316 with the smoking skull. It was a Steve Austin shirt. Had nothing to do with Charlotte. It was because it was in Charlotte, North Carolina. They were selling that shirt at $35 a pop. If they had sold the Chase U shirts at $35 a pop, the entire place would have been wearing them.
Again, if you watch NXT, they have a Chase U section. If everybody's wearing a damn shirt,
it was North Carolina, bro. That's where he's from.
Yeah, he is from Eden, North Carolina. Yeah.
What you're saying, but I'm saying branding.
I'm saying you missed an opportunity to make money.
Okay. Well,
am I wrong?
You know better than $1 billion company. You're right.
Obviously,
you're absolutely right.
They gave the shirts away instead of actually letting them sell and going, hey, look at the Chase U section, and it being the entire fucking arena.
He's got a point. He's got a point. I mean, being that it's in North Carolina and Andre Chase is from North Carolina, that is an opportunity to capitalize. I mean, he's got a point.
It would have been even harder when they lost the match.
Build heat.
Just saying. So, do I know better than $1 billion company? I think I think with the fact that the very first Potsy and Tino show ever, I sat there and said Seth Rollins should show up at that NXT show and hit Triple H, and then it happened, and no other show mentioned that beforehand. Sometimes I do know better.
Can we move on? Because I got an hour drive. You're right. Can we move on to the next match?
Oh, so that's why you're doing that.
I'll just quickly say, match was great. Didn't think Gallus would win, and I think, as was discussed, the idea that New Day getting moved up, possibly taking the other set of tag titles from the Usos. Bam.
I don't think the New Day's going to take the titles. I think they serve their purpose. And NXT is to bring the next level up. They bring them up to the next level.
And also Triple Crown champs.
I don't even know if it did that, but it did what Jason just said, that they are now the Triple Crown champs.
Yep.
Which
Considering pisses me off because they won't give fucking Sheamus the belt. That's the only belt he's never held. So they'll do this because I understand they're trying to build Gunther and do whatever they need to do with him, but they need to go ahead and let the New Day finish their collection. That's the only belt that Sheamus hadn't held. While they let him finish his collection.
So it's a good point, by the way, and I like what you're saying there. Here's why I think what you're saying is wrong. The New Day had basically, since the Triple H regime started, had been relegated to nothing. Like they had lost most of their matches on SmackDown. They get beat down quite a bit. So giving them the NXT championship allowed them to get this Triple Crown championship that no other tag team in WWE history had ever had. So they're first to do that. Keeps them relevant. Helps establish new teams. But overall, it's like, hey, we know you guys are over. We can do whatever we want with you. And when we're finally ready to do something, that's when we're going to, like, blow it out with you. Whereas your Sheamus and Gunther statement is this. I think Gunther holds that belt until SummerSlam. He beats Cody Rhodes for the world title and then has to relinquish the title. So to your point of what are they doing with Sheamus, Sheamus hasn't been this over in years. So when they finally go, okay, who's going to be the next in line to win the Intercontinental Championship, I think Sheamus is perfect.
I want to go back to what you just said. You said Sheamus holds Gunther holds that belt until SummerSlam where he beats Cody. So they're going to let Cody have that belt from WrestleMania to SummerSlam?
It's 4 months. It's 4 months. Ouch. I do think they split both titles by then. Mm-hmm. So you have two different champions.
I'm thinking or hopefully they're split with Mania.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying so Cody will have one belt, and he loses that one belt to Gunther 4 months after he won it. Okay.
Well, remember, in that 4 month period, you're going to have Money in the Bank where you're not going to have to defend the title. Right? So that's 2 months into it. And then the other 2 months, that's not that long. Considering it's been 3 years since Roman Reigns has lost a match.
Yeah. Okay, quite the streak.
Triple threat. Toxic and
Roxy.
And Roxy. Now,
Roxanne.
It started out as a 2-on-1.
Mm-hmm.
And what amazed me, this match was good. This match was I give this match a solid B. But what amazed me about this match is when they were all at that one point towards the end, where they're all on the floor and they're swinging, and the crowd is, let's go Roxy, let's go Gigi.
There was JC.
No JC.
And I was going to say, did you notice that it was Roxy and it was Gigi, and JC would throw something, and the crowd was like, which confuses me why they did what they did Tuesday. You know what I mean?
Because they needed to bring JC up to the level. Fans are already behind Gigi. Fans are already behind Roxanne. That night, they were not at all behind JC Jane.
So what you think of the match, Jason?
Definitely was an enjoyable match. I felt that at the right times, Gigi and JC went at it against each other. I figured it was going to ultimately come down to Roxanne takes out one, of course, with, Gigi falling through the table off the turnbuckle. Avalanche pop rocks on JC to take advantage, opening for the win. I figured it was going to go down like that, but
there was one point in that match, I was like, oh, fuck. Rob called it. When they hit, Roxanne was down. I think they hit the headbutting each other. Toxic headbutted each other, and they and Gigi fell first. JC fell over, but then she went back and threw her arm over, and the ref still counted. I'm like,
yep.
What the hell is going on? I'm like, dude.
So to everybody's to what I said, what I expected to happen was that Toxic Attraction would win the match.
1 second.
Together. 1, 2, 3, they both would be. I don't know what happened to Jason here, folks. But I originally said that I would love to see the Michelle McCool, Layla L, Lay Cool, both of them carrying half of the women's championship. And I really thought they were going to do it.
Right then at that moment, I thought so too.
And you were like, fuck Rob.
No, I was looking at him.
He was like, fuck Rob.
I was like, nah, that ain't going to happen. So.
But then they didn't do it.
JC won.
And
Roxanne won down.
And let's talk about the main event.
That's the next. Yep.
Now, first of all, I do want to point out that I did call Commander Z showing up, Dabakato, when everybody was like, what do you think is going to happen to end this match? And I was like, Commander Z is going to show up. And everybody was like, did you like have prior knowledge to any of this? And I was like, no. We go to the Grayson Waller versus Braun Breaker match.
Steel cage.
Came out with it.
They say you cannot win by climbing out of the cage, which immediately had Tino sit there and say,
it's going to start outside the cage.
It's going to start outside the cage. And they did. And Grayson Waller, to his accord, held his own.
I love that he came out with the Scott Steiner head.
He didn't come out with that.
But he had it backstage.
He had it backstage.
Right.
And when he walked out, he just had like the women with him who had like the flashing lights or whatever. And they went around like the arena or whatever trying to pick up men or something. I don't know what they were doing. But when the match finally started inside the ring, did Grayson Waller really have a chance?
He still held his own. I mean, he still held his own. Jason called, how was he going to do his finisher? And he still managed to do his finisher.
Yeah.
But it didn't help. When Grayson tied Braun in those ropes and was smacking the shit out, I'm like, this is where it's going to end. This is where you die. You poke the bear. This is where you fuck around and find out. He he slapped him that one time, and Braun, I'm like, here we go. And he came up and he pulled those straps down. I'm like, now it's time for Grayson to die.
Mm-hmm.
Then, just as the match was ending,
Mellow.
well, hold on. One of you sat there and said, well, if Braun's winning this one, who's next? And what did I say?
I don't remember. I don't remember that conversation.
Jason, what did I?
He did say Carmelo.
You know.
Yes, he did. Yes, he sure did.
I think I was too busy, like, he's going to fall off the top of the cage because he's standing up there trying to hold his belt up.
He kept doing that. He kept doing that like I got to hold on to for dear life. And you know, you can tell he's sitting there going, I really don't want to be up here.
Mm-hmm.
But I sat there and I said, the only obvious choice here is Carmelo. And I didn't expect Carmelo to show up Saturday night. I expected him to show up Tuesday night. But as the show is ending and Braun is holding onto that wire and his arm is shaking and he's holding up that title and he's like, Carmelo and Trick walk out and Braun looks over at them and holds the title up and says, this is mine for as long as I'm here.
I think at WrestleMania, that WrestleMania weekend, Melo becomes champion.
It's got to be. It's got to be. But on top of that, let's go right into Tuesday night. Ding Dong Hello.
We're going to skip all the way to the end.
I mean, what else do you want to talk about? You're the one saying we gotta end the show.
Yeah, we did. I'm trying to think. You're right. That's pretty much.
That was it.
Oh, Mako Satomura will be returning.
Who? What?
Mako Satomura.
So, yeah, they came up, the tag team, who just lost their belts. I guess they're getting ready to turn heel. They came talking shit to Roxy, like, you don't have any friends. And so she goes on and make a phone call. And I guess Jason's doing his happy dance. So that's what we call.
The final boss is returning to NXT.
Okay. So, Ding Dong Hello. My head hurts. Ding Dong Hello. It almost seemed.
Your head hurts. Did you see Gigi Dolan?
It almost seems to me that Bayley was doing her best mids because while those two were going at it, she was stirring that shit up.
A lot of people on the internet have said that Bayley was not the right person to put in that segment. A lot of other people said that Bayley is so over that by having her in that segment, it brought more eyes to the segment.
And then the reason when we were saying about the women's tag team on Raw who's going to go up, and then I remember how she muttered an editor. At first, they were like, well, we beat everybody here, but you know who we haven't beaten? And she looked at him and said, how about Toxic Attraction and your girl's damage control? And so that's what I was like, oh, hell. But yeah, they were going at it. Gigi and JC were going at it so hard. And I thought maybe it was like, you know how they did that with Roxanne at first, and it was just a ploy. So I thought that was going to be it too. And then JC even said, you know, I've always been a bitch. That's not going to change. But you're my sister, and I got your back. So I'm like, oh, these bitches are getting back together.
She got her back, but not her front.
But when she raised her hand, I'm like,
nope.
I knew something was about to happen. I didn't know it was going to be Gigi. I didn't know it was going to be JC.
Folks, Tino sent me 2 videos.
Did they not look alike?
The first video was Gigi getting her face slammed in super kick and then slammed into the door.
Yeah, and then kicked.
And then the second, the kick was vicious, dude. And then the second one was Shawn Michaels super kicking Marty Jannetty.
It's the same thing. He had his arms up and just kicked the shit out of him.
So the joke is that when Shawn Michaels was telling them the idea for the story, he's like, Did either of you ever see The Barber Shop?
You know they have. You know they have.
I mean, it's got to be part of like
homework.
Classic WWE television, right? So the fact that what happened there did the way it did
was a mirror image.
You obviously were like, we were just talking about The Barbershop last week.
Well, no, what was funny because I saw that I had the video of that, and then I scroll, and then you can look into it, and then you scroll down and had the barbershop. I'm like, yep, send that too.
But I mean, ultimately, the two of us last week were literally talking about
who's the Marty Jannetty.
Who's the Marty Jannetty?
We went on every
we went.
Oh my God!
That we could and so I just want to point out, because I know you hate them as much as Paige Van Zandt. God damn, she's so hot. You and I were talking about
Rhea and Buddy.
They're really good friends.
No, they're dating. Anyway,
sure.
So you and I were talking about what?
You and I were talking about. We were talking about the Marty Jannetty's, and somehow on the Facebook group,
I saw that whole.
It turned into a. Who are you going to tell me is the Marty Jannetty between Cactus Jack and Terry Funk is who it was, and it's like, yeah, you're taking two main eventers, and you're trying to say that they. Okay, you and I talked about this last week. The Rock and Sock connection. There is no Marty Jannetty. They're both Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, but I was like, I think The Rock's more of a Shawn Michaels.
You're right.
Yeah.
But then the conversation, and I stuck up for you on this one.
Oh.
It was, which one of the Young Bucks is the Marty Jannetty?
You stuck up for me?
You know what I said?
You know what?
I said, they're both a Jannetty. That's why they haven't broken up yet. Because for everybody out there,
I hate the Young Bucks.
Tino hates the Young Bucks. And you know what? If there's nothing else we talk about tonight, I want to talk about the Dynamite Tag Team title match and how the Young Bucks are influencing it.
And I told you I don't think so, but we'll finish it with this. So, where do we go from here with JC and Gigi?
I mean, they're going to be it's kind of a reset. It's a restart.
So, do they still get called up, or do they enter the NXT Women's Championship picture?
I would say that they reestablish themselves in NXT and really make themselves singles wrestlers at this point.
What do you think, Jay? Who do you think's more talented? Because we sit there. Who's the Marty Jannetty? Who's the Shawn Michaels? But who is the star out of those two?
I'd have to go with Gigi Dolan, mainly because I do know her as also Priscilla Kelly. So you have to remember, this is somebody that competed in the Mae Young Classic the first year. So she's been established quite a bit, as also in the Indies as well. JC Jane, I really don't know that much about.
So what I'll say is this, is that based on the reaction that Vengeance Day gave them, JC Jane needed to pop. So she needed the comeuppance. So that's why she got the heel pop of doing the super kick into the door and everything else when it came to Gigi. Gigi has star written all over her based on the reaction that the crowd gave her. I mean, it literally was, let's go Roxanne, let's go Gigi. Yes. There was no, let's go JC.
No.
And
that had to suck. I know that had to suck.
I mean, she ate the pin after Gigi took the big bump. So I don't know if it had to suck or what, but I guarantee that that's why Shawn said, we got to give Gigi this moment, or JC this moment.
Right.
And it's because Shawn's listening to the crowd.
Which they're supposed to be.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's go from Sean listening to this other prick who's not.
I have an update on AEW as well.
What you got?
So it was posted about an hour ago. ESPN to broadcast AEW exclusively in Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific Islands.
Wow. Wow.
Who? What?
ESPN has agreed to terms to broadcast AEW exclusively in Australia, New Zealand, and Pacific Islands.
That's interesting, considering that's a Disney-owned company.
I think this is going to sell ESPN too.
Well, maybe, but I mean, we can talk about that later. First match of the night: Takeshita versus MJF.
Oh, I thought you tagged him. You trying to go to the whole card? Okay.
No. I'm going with the first match of the night. MJF's first match of the year in February, so he's gone an entire month without wrestling a fucking match as the world champion versus Takeshita. What you think?
I thought it was a good match.
Okay.
I thought
Takeshita
did very well, and there were times when I thought he was actually going to win, but I knew he wasn't going to because they're not going to let Max lose a match before he loses at a pay-per-view.
And he's not losing at the next pay-per-view against Andy Bryan Danielson. He's not losing. What?
I think he is.
No.
What do you think? You think he's going to lose to Bryan? Bryan, you think he's going to keep his belt?
Well, first, what did you think of the match? And then
the match between Danielson and Takeshita MJF. Definitely a match I enjoyed. I've seen Takeshita live multiple times, so I've definitely been a big fan of his. I definitely knew he wasn't winning. It's kind of bummed that he lost via tap out, but solid match. And the thing is, what annoys me about MJF is just the dude can wrestle. Like, I want to see more of his in-ring action and not just the fact that he's a great heel, but he's being a coward champion. Like, I hate that so much because the dude is gold in the ring.
I agree with Tino. I do like the chicken shit heel. I do think that him going 20 plus minutes in this match did exactly what you said that you want to see from him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it gave as much of he was a chicken shit heel. I think that he actually did go after the win.
Did he legit hurt his knee, or was that a work?
No, it was a work.
It was a work.
It's a work, but they're gonna play it into the whole account.
Just like his shoulder.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
At the same time, the Takeshita, I hurt my arm early in the match. Obviously, that's going to be what leads him to lose the match. The solid match.
Mm-hmm.
I do like Takeshita. A guy who has 15, 20 matches total in the time frame that AEW has been around does not deserve to be in the ring for the AEW World Champion's first match and take it as long as he did.
But who did they put in the ring?
I mean, who's yelling and complaining enough outside to deserve the first match against MJF? Eddie Kingston. Now, granted, it's going to lead to something. Don't
you even said Eddie Kingston shouldn't be in the match? You want to see him?
He's not going to win.
The championship qualifier, man.
He's not going to win.
So what's your point?
But Eddie Kingston is somebody that everybody sits there and says this guy is worthy. Takeshi's not worthy. Like, honest to God, you really want to see what MJF is capable of? Miro's healthy. Put him in a match against Miro. Put him in against Adam Cole. Put him in a match against John Moxley or fucking Hangman.
You see him with Moxley.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Put him in a match against Darby Allin. Put him in a match against Orange Cassidy. Put him in a match against Chucky Taylor or fucking Trent Beretta. I don't care. The fact is, February 8th.
So if Takeshita doesn't, why would Chuck Taylor do that?
Hold on. February 8th, his first fucking match of the year.
Yeah.
Why?
Takeshita's over, especially with the crowd and just with the quality of matches he puts on.
So I'm going to point out to you, Jason, and I'm going to point out to Tino, that I was more interested in the guy standing in the back row of the lower deck, talking on his phone and going like this.
That's you, Rob. And I understand.
Did you see him?
No, because I was watching the match.
There literally was a guy on his phone sitting there going the whole, like 3/4 of that match. But it was a good match. Takeshita got whatever Tony Khan's trying to give him. So now he can go win the TNT belt after Joe and Wardlow finally don't have it. Because he's obviously not going to beat MJF. Danielson comes out. He sits there, makes sure that Takeshita's okay after they bloody Takeshita.
What that damn way.
Danielson has his match with Roosh, where he gets bloody. Same spot. Danielson wins.
Now, before that match, though, they tried to block him in to the room. Remember, he was in the room with Takeshita. And they locked him in the room. He had to bust the door down to get to the match. And that shit was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Because Aubrey can see what's going on. So he's trying to bust out the room. And MJ, count him out. He's not here. Count him out. And Aubrey's looking at MJF. 1.
Oh, that's why she took her sweet time.
And he's like, hurry up. 2. And then he got an announcement that he can't count. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10.
Speaking of MJF,
Oh God,
we got the moment where he talked about Liv.
what?
His thing about how, like, to tell you how he's gonna do things. At one point, he dated a girl named Liv.
Oh yeah, that promo.
Oh.
And apparently, Liv Morgan was suddenly trending on Twitter because of it.
I didn't pick up on that.
But MJF sat there and said, "Do you want to know what I did here, Brian? After we were in the car accident, I switched her and me in the seats so that it was her that got everything wrong with the cops."
Yikes.
Shows how much of a dastardly chicken shit heel he is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, rest of Dynamite. This is all I really want to talk about. Trios match.
I told you.
Trios match happened exactly the way you expected. Young Bucks win.
I fast forward that.
Top flight. But it was a solid match.
Young Bucks and Kenny win, like you'd expect. And then the main event of the evening. Ended up being the Ass Boys winning the tag team titles against the most over tag team in AEW currently today. Why?
Yeah.
Look, you tell your things. I've already told you. I think you're reading way too much into it, but I'm gonna tell you
To
this.
tell everybody what you feel.
It's long-term storytelling. Who have the Guns been antagonizing for more close to a year?
Danhausen.
No, FTR.
FTR.
FTR needs to come, and FTR has been looking for that. They hadn't had the tag team titles in a while.
So not Danhausen.
Now, in saying that,
What?
Now, in saying that, are you saying that you could see FTR potentially re-signing with AEW?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Back for those titles.
If you read between the lines, Dax flat out said a lot of the things that I've said in the past are because I wasn't looking at things from both sides of view. Tony Khan is one of my best friends, so now that I'm looking at things from his perspective, I totally have a different view of things. As such, Tony Khan's one of my best friends makes me think they're re-signing, especially since the other side of the coin is the conversations that he's had about Road Dogg have been very negative, even though he understands why Road Dogg gave the opinions that he gave.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, continue.
Oh, I'm done. Like I said, go ahead, Jay.
I'm sorry, Jason.
Yeah, I pretty much feel the same way that a lot of folks feel about the ending of the tag team title match. I mean, I was thinking that maybe Billy Gunn was gonna turn and join his family, but I mean, with them, attacking him, that pretty much eliminated that. So I mean, just I don't like it, but I'm one of those. I guess we'll just have to see where it goes.
And Robin and I had this conversation before. I think it's just long-term storytelling. It makes sense for the Guns to win the belt, so FTR to come and take the belts away. Rob has this other conspiracy theory.
Rob thinks
Mm-hmm.
that this all goes back to the Young Guns, or the Young Bucks, who are not Young Guns anymore. The Young Bucks basically sitting there and not putting any major tag teams against the tag team champions currently, so that when you look at the ratings of the show, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega have a higher rating than the main event of the Acclaim versus the Ass Boys.
Mm-hmm.
In this situation, we're going to get to the point where the Ass Boys end up winning the tag team titles. It's a flop in terms of the ratings. The Young Bucks go to Tony Khan and say, that's the Acclaim's fault because the Acclaimed are over. And it's going to bring the Acclaim down a couple notches so that when some team needs to fix the tag team division, the Young Bucks will then be that team that goes over whoever the current tag team champions are. And the reason why I say that is because, well, everything the Young Bucks have done is to do nothing but make them look over. And here's why I say this. If you felt that the Ass Boys should be in this match, why is it that AEW commentators are talking about how Death Triangle and the Lucha Brothers should be main eventers, and yet they're not going up against the Acclaimed? The last time the Acclaimed went up against a stellar tag team was when they beat Swerve to Our Glory for the tag team titles. Since then, they faced nobody. Nobody. So,
as much as I hate, and you know I hate the Young Bucks, I really don't think that's it. I think this is just their the Acclaim had a long run. B, they already have something built in with the Ass Boys and FTR. So when FTR comes back, you got a built-in feud.
So FTR is gone right now.
Yeah.
So why do you do that now?
I think they might be close to resigning.
It doesn't matter if they are. If they asked for time off, they're off TV. Right now, you have the Acclaimed, you have the Ass Boys. The Ass Boys are garbage. They're nobodies.
They also, and here's the thing, and they're okay. The Ass Boys, there's a difference in being garbage, and there's a difference in not having that TV time to people can see what they can do. Because they can't, you know what I'm saying? They spend a lot of time on Dark, or what I'm sure.
Sure.
They haven't. They've only concentrated on the Acclaim, the Young Bucks. So you haven't seen the Ass Force. So not are they garbage, or they just haven't had the time that the Young Bucks and the Acclaim have had on TV.
My point, though, is that the Acclaimed, as over as they are, and they were the hottest act on AEW.
This is true.
Let's not let's not like mince words. They are the hottest babyface act. Who does that hurt? It hurts the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. Because the Young Bucks want to be the most over act when it comes to a tag team in AEW. Who did the Young Bucks get to go up against for their trios championships? Death Triangle. The Orange Cassidy and his kids. Like, all of the top acts were suddenly going after the trios titles. And suddenly the tag team titles are two singles wrestlers who lost the tag team titles to the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn's kids.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, everything that you'd be hoping for the World Tag Team Championships, there's nobody good going for them.
What are your thoughts, Jason?
Do I make a compelling argument?
No, you actually do. Because my thing is, I think if you look back at it, the Gun Club, which, because you got to remember, they were a trio for a while. And a lot of their matches, to be real with you, were on Dark and Elevation. And then, I feel like it wasn't just maybe like the middle of last year that they started to get a little bit more of a presence on Dynamite when, with the Acclaimed, because you got to remember, the Acclaim was having all sorts of matches. Like, they had a lot on, Dark and Dark Elevation. And then it turned into they got a lot on there as well as a good amount on Dynamite. Because, even when they were heels, they were over. Like, just with the rap dissing and just always being involved as much as possible. So I definitely get.
Jason?
Yeah. Go for it.
So just a couple weeks ago, the Young Bucks lost a tag team match against Top Flight, right?
Correct.
So why didn't Top Flight immediately get a tag team title match?
That's a fair point. But at the same time, like, we have to also ask ourselves, when is it considered enough to qualify for a title shot of any sort? Because for the longest time, I'm a firm believer, earn some wins before you even can,
But and I agree with you. But if you beat the former two-time AEW Tag Team Champions and current Trios Tag Team Champions, you should be in line for a Tag Team Championship match. Why haven't the Butcher and the Blade been up for a Tag Team Championship match? Have they?
Yeah, I think they have. They lost.
My point, again, though, is why is it that the top tag teams that we have said are the top tag teams not going up against the Acclaimed, and yet they lose to a shitty tag team? And when I say shitty, I mean an unestablished tag team that needs to build themselves up, who, by the way, probably does have some talent. Mainly, again, if Top Flight in a single or a regular tag team match, not a trios match, beat the Young Bucks, who the Young Bucks are probably, if you look at the rankings, probably second or third. Top Flight should have been up for a tag team championship match. That's it. The fact that the Ass Boys, the Guns, if you will, sat there and immediately got the match. Sure, storyline wise, Billy Gunn sat there and got them into it, whatever. Months and months of the Acclaimed being the tag team the champions. Why is it that this is the first real feud they've been in? That's my point. That's my question. Yes, does it right itself because Billy Gunn left? Sure. But this should have been a Dark Elevation tag team championship match that the Ass Boys never had a chance of winning. Rather than being the main event of Dynamite on a show where the Young Bucks are going to sit there and go to Tony Khan and say, hey, our ratings were higher because we went up against this trios team. And the Ass Boys basically got booed out of the building when they won the tag team titles. And they did. What's that? Nobody's been on the show all night. I don't know what's going on. But with that said, tomorrow we got SmackDown.
Yes. And tomorrow we got Rampage. I'm very interested. Mark Briscoe, hear what he's got to say. So I'm assuming he's part of the elite now. He's all elite. And they're actually going to let him on TV.
I think he might retire.
I think he's going to keep on.
I mean, he's got a chicken farm, dude. Like he doesn't need to work. Like he's making all that money.
I think he's going to keep on carrying on that Briscoe name.
It'll be interesting.
I think he might, relinquish the tag titles, but
they do have,
he's going to have. Well, yeah, he's going to have to.
He's probably going to lay him down in the ring. Probably going to cry.
Because I doubt he's going to want to tag with anybody else but his brother.
Yeah, that's something else.
So, but that don't mean he can't go for single titles. So probably TNT.
You got anything else?
Yeah.
Jason, you got anything else?
I do actually. I would like to advertise that I just received in the mail my new God's Eye t-shirt from the faction God's Eye in World Wonder Ring Stardom promotion. Thank you so much.
Cool. I like that shirt. I like that design. Tell Jason give us handles.
Jason, we're getting ready to close it out. So why don't you tell everybody how to find you on the socials?
You can find me on Twitter at blitzball_champ.
Stop being rude. Let him finish. Say it again. He was rude. Say it again.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You can find me on Twitter at blitzball_champ, capital B, capital C, lowercase b and c on Instagram, and also on YouTube at blitzball champ all together. capital B, capital C.
And Jason also is selling orthopedic Skechers. Why is it that you sit there and talk about it all the time, and then when I bring it up,
Because you've said it like 20 times in this one show.
I've said it 3 times.
No,
3.
Jason.
5.
No.
Not more than that.
Yes, sir.
Anyways, Tino.
You give it all yours.
No, go ahead.
I'm on Twitter. I'm SC Tino. No, on Twitter I'm HootieFan91. Insta I am SC Tino. Snapchat I'm SC Tino. You can find us on Twitter, Potsy and Tino. Facebook, we're Potsy and Tino Show. We're here each and every Tuesday, right here on the Pots and Pans Network. You can give your own. You got like 20. I told you I gave up on that a long time ago. So
I give you one thing to do during the show, and you don't even want to do it.
Dude, the past month you've been giving your own. It's been longer than a month you've been giving your own handle.
Well, you got knocked off the show last week.
Yeah. Give me handles.
Rob Pacek on Instagram. Just so you know, I finally hit 2,000 followers. I'm doing a giveaway of some comics if people actually sign up for it now.
How many followers do you have to get that blue check mark?
You just, I actually sent in for the verification because Variety had me in the article last week.
Okay, but how many? What does it take to get the blue check?
Doesn't say what you need. Just says that you need to verify that you are, and then they need to look it up.
Oh.
They don't ever reply.
Anyway.
Rob Potsy Pacek.
That's cool though.
Also on Instagram. Rob Pacek on YouTube, which is where we are right now. Pacek on Twitter. And
like, subscribe, and buy our shit.
TikTok, I'm Rob Potsy Pacek. I have 1,500 followers on there. So, folks, if you want to have a chance to win a cool signed holofoil comic book, go to my Instagram, Rob Pacek, and go ahead and like the page. But Adam's House Cat.
Not saying you don't that.
No, Adam's House Cat gave us our theme song until this guy goes into the studio and writes a song called 9-9.
I'm not gonna be 9-9. I got another idea. Right.
Till he actually comes up with it, we're gonna call the new song 9-9.
You're not the boss of me. I don't want to name it 9-9.
Got him.
We're gonna name it the 9-9 until he actually comes up with the song.
Well, let's follow the song right, and I'll give it to you then, since he wants to call it the 9-9.
And by the way, remember, tomorrow, Mikey Ruckus is dropping his new hit, Unfiltered, for Unfiltered Sean Cruz, friend of the show.
Like he writes for everybody.
He's the AEW Jim Johnston.
That's cool.
So the fact that he did it, and like I said, the artwork for it was designed by yours truly. So, but from there, folks, have a wonderful night. So thankful to have you as part of the Potsy and Tino Show. Jason, thank you for joining us. Thank you for putting up with us on Saturday and tonight. Anything else?
I'm good.
Thanks for having me.
Here. What's in rainbow color? It's pretty much I'm an ally. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me who you love, as long as you love. I don't care.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
We'll see you next week.
Take care.
Heavy metal.
No, it's the wrong one. This is the one. Dig it. Still going. They can hear you. Yeah. the greatest.